filling out the paperwork to get a driver's license in California, they have to check a box that says, I am, the box they have to check says that they are here illegally. Not check a box that says I am a citizen, because that would require them to do something in order to get that ballot. All they have to do is not check the box. They just have to not check the box that would incriminate themselves for being here illegally on a legal document. So what incentive do illegal immigrants have to actually check that box? And if they mail out ballots to whatever address the illegal immigrants put on there, well, what's to stop them from, night of the election? Oh, looks like these ballots weren't turned in. Create a new ballot. You guys see what I'm getting at? Okay, the time to get your ballots in is over, but we still got 2 weeks to count the ballots. We know that these people that are registered to vote, that a ballot was sent out to them, we know they didn't turn a ballot in. We also are pretty sure that they're not going to be checking to see if their ballot was used. So now we've got a stack of ballots that we can fill out ourselves and turn in. This is what I would do if I had all of these tools at my, you guys get what I'm saying. If I had all these tools available to me, no voter ID, old voter rolls, and people that are willing to compile a list of people that would get ballots that we know won't vote for sure. So that's how I would do it. And well, we're still counting ballots. It's 2 weeks later. There's 90% counted. And it seems for some strange reason that a heavy percentage of the ballots that are coming in now are just totally skewed towards the left. You see Trump's numbers just slowly going down. But then you see like this one here, the Orange County, they might flip a congressional seat in Orange County. So this is Congressional District 45. I'll throw it up on screen here. And it is Derek Tran, the Democrat, against the incumbent, Michelle Steele. I believe she's the incumbent. And yeah, it looks like Derek Tran is now ahead. And anybody that lives in California knows Orange County is red. Orange County is always red. It's been red for a long time. There's no way. There's freaking no way in hell that they're going to flip Democrat unless there's some shenanigans going on. So again, why do we have 2 weeks to count the ballots? Matty Bracco, dude, it's not you. My Brave browser using x.com just flipped out. I tried resetting my PC, but that didn't fix it. I had to switch browsers. Oh, that sucks. When's the last time you updated it? Because I know I'm supposed to update my Brave browser like months ago. Bankman. Okay, I read that. It will turn red if people are going to be paying 5 to 6 minimum for gas next year. I don't know. I don't even know if it would then. Like, some people are lost. Some people are lost causes. T-Bone Tony, Trump is going to crush California. I kind of hope so. So as you guys can see here, this is congressional seat 45, District 45. And Derek Tran, the Democrat, is at 50% with 152,981 votes. And Michelle Steele is at 152,945 votes. So, oh my God. It's down to 34 votes. Are you kidding me? Oh, this is insane. So yeah, this is how California can just do it dirty, And again, how is it fair that California can just take as long as they want to count ballots? It's pretty absurd. And you guys saw the map where every state that has mail-in ballots went blue. Every single state. It's like, okay, I guess so. So yeah, they still have there's a lot of shenanigans going on over here in California. So yeah, if Trump, one of the priorities should be, like, number one priority should be getting a bill through the House, through the Senate, and then on to Trump's desk that requires some sort of national, some sort of identification needs to be used for all federal elections. And I think California, I mean, it would be so obvious if they did this, but I think California would be shady enough to separate the ballots, to be like, these are all of our local and state elections. They're going to be on one ballot. All your federal elections are going to be on another ballot. So you don't need ID to vote in state and local elections, but you do in the federal elections. I could see California being shady enough to do something like that. So this from Mario Narfall. He says how one city attorney took down Newsom's no voter ID policy. So this is interesting. Coming out of Huntington Beach, also out of Orange County, red. Huntington Beach is awesome, by the way. They got a great dog beach there. Governor Newsom's no voter ID law argued that requiring ID would disenfranchise low-income and minority voters, saying that in itself is racist. Like, that's their argument. That is really their argument, that requiring ID to vote is going to disenfranchise low-income and minority voters. Well, I'm low-income. I am low-income. I got an ID because I need to drive, and minority voters. Okay, so you're really going out and saying that it's hard for Black and brown people to obtain identification? Like, that's really what you're going with? Because that's so freaking racist. It's insanely racist. Do you guys know anybody that doesn't have ID? Anyone? Oh, it's so frustrating. Magic Bronco, over on X. I can't believe you think California would cheat. Yeah, I know. They're so honest. But you can't get into a club without an ID. You can't do anything without an ID. Yeah, okay. But Huntington Beach City Attorney Michael Gates wasn't having it. In a true David versus Goliath showdown, Gates took on Newsom in court, calling out the absurdity of not requiring ID to vote, which is in fact absurd. Gates argued that voter ID is common sense proof of identity that prevents fraud and keeps elections fair. The court sided with Gates, striking down Newsom's no ID rule. Now, it's not a rule, it's a law. They passed a freaking law that you not only do cities and counties not need to require ID, they passed a law making it illegal for them to ask for ID. So even if they want to, they can't, because, you know, local elections are all down to county jurisdiction, whatever policies they want to put in place. The state tried to make it so, like, just like they did with you can't hand count ballots. And I think the same ruling will go towards that as well. They made it illegal. It's not just that certain counties don't have to require ID to vote. They made it illegal for them to ask for ID. Like, how, wrap your brain around that? How insane is that? So now, thanks to Gates' win, California could soon see ID at the polls, setting a powerful example for states across the country. Sources the AP. So interesting. We'll see what happens. It's the shit that California polls is just out of control. It's just out of control. All right, next story out of California. So the Coast Guard stops. So you guys have seen all of those videos of boats coming into San Diego, into I think even like Chula Vista. Boats just flying up, and they don't even dock. They just like cruise up onto the beach, and they just, you know, maroon the boat. They just leave the boat there, and you'll see 20 people jump off the boat and just run into town, and they got cars waiting for them to be picked up. You know, it's a very coordinated thing. So, you know, California being a border state that also has an ocean, they're not just coming over the border where the fence is, they're coming over by boat. Well, Trump gets it, and nobody in California was doing anything about these boats. Knew it was a huge problem. Trump wins the election, and you're seeing all sorts of stuff change before he's even in office. So Coast Guard stops migrant boat near Newport Beach. 21 migrants were interdicted. I don't think that's the word he meant to use. Aboard a 34-foot boat spotted operating suspiciously near Newport Harbor. The Coast Guard's narwhal crew boarded the vessel during an evening patrol, intercepting it at a mile offshore. So this is from KTLA. So you're already starting to see, I think out in New York, they're announcing that they're ending funding for a bunch of illegal immigrants. Shit is going to get wild. And there's all this talk about mass deportations. You don't need mass deportations. I mean, you probably will at a certain point, but you don't need to just come out guns blazing with that right off the bat. Go after the sanctuary states, the states that are aiding and abetting fugitives. I mean, coming over the border is illegal, and then you have states protecting people that came here illegally, breaking federal laws. Like, I've never been able to wrap my brain around that. How states can just go against the federal government, allow who they want in here, and then make it legal for them to get jobs, get ID, give them subsidies. So the state pays them, welfare benefits, food stamps, and then housing vouchers. And then all of a sudden they're allowed to work here too. And they don't need to make as much money because they're getting all this money from the state. So then it's undercutting American workers, Californians, and they can just lowball all the illegal immigrants because they're already getting subsidies from the state. It's insane. All these sanctuary state policies that are just allowed to happen. So go after the states with sanctuary state policies, chop off all of the welfare state garbage that's incentivizing people to come here and keeping people here. And people are going to start self-deporting. People will leave on their own. So that's my thoughts on it anyway. And the human trafficking and the drug trafficking is out of control ever since, the freaking Biden regime took power. And well, it seems even San Francisco, all of a sudden, like, people are starting to, we're going to enforce the law now because Trump's coming in. So if I talk about it all the time, but if you guys are new to the show, in San Francisco, the people that are dealing fentanyl, like probably more than half of the dealers in San Francisco are illegal immigrants from Honduras, and they call them the Hondos out there. It's a catch and release thing with the illegal immigrant drug dealers. And Chesa Boudin, the former district attorney of San Francisco, is famously on video saying, well, they were trafficked here. These drug dealers that, carry around drugs and guns in their backpack, they were trafficked here, and they're the poor victims. And if we don't allow them to deal drugs on our streets and then send money back home, they're going to go after their families. So we basically just have to let it happen. Look it up. I've played it too many times on this show, but Chesa Boudin is literally justifying allowing illegal immigrants to deal poison on his streets that are killing people in mass. It's bananas what this guy is saying and how he's trying to justify it. It's absolutely psychotic what he's saying. And I'm not saying this is an illegal immigrant from Honduras, but if this is from KTVU Fox 2, and this article says suspected tenderloin drug dealer arrested on trafficking charges. So let's read a little further. I didn't read this yet because I just saw the headline and I was like, wait, they actually arrested a drug dealer? They took his stuff and they took a picture of everything he had? It's lots of money. That's lots of fentanyl that he's got sitting there. And it's like weird because you never hear about this. In California, Bay Area, you don't hear about drug dealers getting busted and then pictures of their drugs like laid out like this. They don't enforce any of this in San Francisco. So it just sort of caught my eye, just the actual headline of this article. So let's read a little further. A suspected drug dealer was arrested at a joint investigation by San Francisco and federal officials. How about that? Which, so right off the bat, one of the sanctuary state policies in California is that local authorities aren't allowed to cooperate with ICE. So if they arrest somebody on, like a hardcore crime, like rape, or, like they're accused of rape, or, armed robbery or something like that. If they aren't convicted of that crime already, and ICE hits them up and we're like, hey, you got a suspect and we know he's an illegal immigrant, can you hold him for us? No, they got to cut him loose. If he makes bail, they got to cut him loose because he hasn't been convicted of the crime yet. Even if they got him on video doing it, all that stuff. Local authorities are not allowed to cooperate with ICE. Even if they catch them in a violent crime, they can't hand them over to ICE because of California sanctuary state policies. Fact check me. Look this stuff up. It's madness, the sanctuary state policies that they have here. So this is just weird. It's you got in a joint investigation by San Francisco, then I'm assuming that's SFPD, and federal officials, according to authorities. The investigation involved the San Francisco Police Department's narcotics unit. And, wow. The Drug Enforcement Administration and the National Guard. Wow. And revealed that the suspect was dealing drugs in the Tenderloin district. They don't say if he's an illegal immigrant or not. I don't think they do. Investigators obtained warrants to search the suspect, his vehicle, and his Oakland residence. Okay. On Wednesday, police observed the suspect, identified as Kerlin Salgado Ferreira, while he was driving in the lower Nob Hill area of San Francisco. He parked and exited his car at the intersection of California and Polk Street. During a brief foot chase, Salgado Ferreira discarded items believed to be narcotics. Officers found that he had been in possession of narcotics paraphernalia associated with drug trafficking. Salgado Ferreira was taken into custody on suspicion of narcotics trafficking and booked into the San Francisco County Jail. A subsequent search of his home in the 10,000 block of MacArthur Boulevard yielded 68.1 grams of fentanyl, 101 grams of methamphetamine, 237 grams of cocaine. Cocaine? Wow. I thought cocaine was dead. Probably had fentanyl in it too. 82.4 grams of suspected fentanyl pills, 5.4 grams of heroin, and more than $6,000 in cash. Okay, so that's the article. So they're busting drug dealers in San Francisco. What? They started busting drug dealers? Like, it's crazy. Trump's coming into office and they're like, okay, we can start taking shit seriously again. Interesting. It'd be nice to see the Tenderloin cleaned up. So you guys still there in the chat? Matty Bracco, geez. Next year, going to say Nancy is behind it. Yeah, well. Yeah, I know. You're talking about the election fraud crap. Okay, let's keep going here. So enough about the drug stuff in California. Some of the other California madness that's going on, and one of my pet peeves is biological boys in women's sports. Many of you guys know I coached cross country, I coached Little League, and I coach boys and girls in cross country, and it never became an issue when I was coaching, but I made it very clear that if there's another school that has a biological boy on their team, I'm going to tell my female runners, you do not need to compete. You can, in fact, I encourage you not to, because like the only way to take a stand against this is to not compete and say that's why you're not competing. And looks like Stone Ridge Christian High School is doing exactly that. So Stone Ridge Christian Academy in California forfeits their state playoff game after learning their opponent is a male athlete. Holding the line is worth more than a muddied trophy. Great job, girls, and congrats on making it to state. So they forfeited their season basically to do this, and I mean that's bold. That is a stand-up thing to do. So this is like the official statement from the Stone Ridge Christian School team. T-Bone Tony, the only way to win a nuclear war is to not play the game at all. Yep, 100% agree. And it looks like Biden's trying to do everything he can to make that happen. Well, not Biden. We all know he's not in charge. Good afternoon, SRC family. I wanted to provide you an important update on the girls' volleyball game scheduled for tomorrow. As many of you know, our girls won on Wednesday and advanced to the state playoffs. Unfortunately, we were just informed that our opponent, San Francisco Waldorf, has a male athlete playing for their team. At SRC, we believe God's word is authoritative and infallible. It is truth, and as Genesis makes it clear, God wonderfully and immutably created each person as male or female. We do not believe sex is changeable, and we do not intend to participate in events that send a different message. We also have a duty and responsibility to care for the health and safety of our athletes. So after consulting with our students, coaches, and staff, we have made the difficult decision to forfeit Saturday's game. Standing for biblical truth means more than the outcome of the game. This is a heartbreaking end to our season, but I hope you will join me in congratulating these outstanding student athletes. SRC is proud of them. I wish they're a Christian school, so you kind of expect it. But I mean, all you have to do is just say it's not fair in terms of competition. Boys have a natural biological advantage, and it's also a danger to the girls. A boy competing against female athletes can injure them. So, but they're a Christian school, so they have to. But you can make arguments that are gonna appeal to non-religious folks as well. But they said that too, health and safety of our students. So, all right. So that's not the only. That's not the only stool. That's again, tide is turning. The tide is turning, folks. So this is over. Okay, this is a picture of the both teams here. So there's the dude, towers over the coach. Well, yeah, hairy legs and everything. What the hell, man? Waldorf school. Interesting. These are the girls that it's messed up because I actually thought the dude was on this team. I'm not going to say which one. And I'll close that before you guys can try to guess on your own. So that's not the only school that is starting to stand up against this stuff. Tebow Tony over on X. If they had to travel to San Francisco, then forfeiting was worth it because they would have their vans broken into. I'm sure they would have private parking. It's a private school. So San Jose State University volleyball captain, again, volleyball captain demands removal of transgender athlete. So this is quite interesting. It's a long article, so I'll just play the video. But I think it's the captain is demanding the athlete be removed on their own team. San Jose State University women's volleyball players are suing their head coach. Yeah. The university and Division I Mountain West Conference for allowing a transgendered player on the team. This is Division I. This is Division I college athletics too. This is, quite a big step up from high school varsity in a private school. These girls are now, potential Olympians. I don't know, professional beach volleyball. I don't know where you go after Division I volleyball, but I mean, this is probably like the highest level volleyball competition for females, and they're allowing a dude on the team. So let's listen. This is their own team calling out the coaches and the conference, NC2A, all that. So let's watch this video really quick here. I don't know if I'll lose audio or not.
San Jose State University claiming the school violated female.
Sorry, folks. Oh, come on. Brave browser? Really? Start this over. Sorry, folks. I guess my browser doesn't like me tonight very much.
A second lawsuit has been filed against San Jose State University, claiming the school violated female volleyball players' rights by allowing a transgender player on the team.
A dude.
In the suit, a dozen plaintiffs, including San Jose State volleyball player Brooke Slusser, claim that by allowing a biological male to play on a women's volleyball team, it violated their rights as women. They're asking the court for damages and to prevent the player in question from participating in the Mountain West Conference Volleyball Championship in Las Vegas later this month. San Jose State University says it's received the complaint and will review it and respond appropriately.
You know what the funniest thing to me about all of this is is feminism did this. You don't see any men trying to defend this. You don't see any men that are like, trans women are women. I mean, unless they're dudes pretending to be women, you don't see that. And you don't see any biological women trying to compete against men and men getting upset about it because they probably wouldn't care, because it's like, well, you're not even going to make the team, and then you're not a threat to us. You're not a threat to us on the court, on the field, in the locker rooms, in the bathrooms. We don't have to worry about our safety. We don't have to worry about you molesting us or anything like that. So the only people that are defending men competing against women are the women who are the victims of this. So the whole thing is hysterical to me because it's just feminism going full circle and eating itself. The whole thing's ridiculous. It's hysterical though. I mean, what can you do? I mean, we can't fix this for you, ladies. I mean, there's plenty of women that are standing up for it, but the whole thing is hysterical because the only people that are defending this are women, hard left women, and men pretending to be women. Those are the only people defending it. You ask any dude, especially any dude that plays a sport, any straight dude that plays a sport, they're gonna be like, yeah, no, they shouldn't be playing against women. Like, it's no hesitation because it's so obvious. It's so on its face obvious that they're at an advantage and that it's potentially dangerous to women. It's hysterical. I don't know. Like, what happens what about rugby? What about lacrosse? Contact sports. What softball? All of a sudden, what if I decided I might still have years of eligibility? What if I decided I want to go back to junior college and play women's softball and just rake rockets right up the middle? Some chick is going to get her face smashed by a softball that's coming off the bat 15 miles an hour harder than it would off of any female's bat, because you got some big hulking 6'5", 300-pound dude just hitting bombs. I mean, the whole thing's hysterical. It's just like, unfortunately, it's going to take a female dying in competition for everybody to finally look at this and be like, well, we might have a problem here. But it looks like this might be turning around already because, again, the tide is turning. It's interesting. And another sign of the tide turning is Prop 36. Prop 36 here in California, Matty Bracco, and COVID because people were bored at home and making up shit. Yeah, that's fair. So this is from Mike Netter. He says, Prop 36 is currently winning in every single county in the state. So that is hugely telling right there, because it's not a Republican Democrat thing. Prop 36, every single county in the state with almost 70% of voter support. That's quite the rejection of Gavin Newsom, who tried so hard to keep Prop 36 from even going to the voters. Yeah, he tried to keep it off the ballot. And if you guys don't know, Prop 36 it doesn't repeal Prop 47, but it cuts off a lot of its tentacles, if you will. So Prop 47 is the proposition that made theft under $950 a misdemeanor. And then you got all these Soros DAs in California that refuse to prosecute misdemeanors. So essentially decriminalizing theft under $950. And it also made the possession and the use of drugs decriminalized on the streets. That's why you have people in San Francisco in the Tenderloin, smoking crack, smoking meth, shooting up heroin, fentanyl. Yeah, shooting up fentanyl. They shoot it up, right? They don't smoke it. Maybe they do both. I don't know. Right out in the open. It's just and it's so, how it's become normalized still is amazing to me, because I used to go to San Francisco a lot when I was a kid. I would take the train there. I'd go spend the weekend with my buddy Lauren, who had a rich dad and a gigantic house, and we'd go skateboarding all weekend and smoke weed and do mushrooms, allegedly. And we had to look out for cops. We had to, like, if we wanted to smoke pot, we had to go somewhere where cops weren't going to be. We wouldn't just like, you couldn't just like blaze up a joint on the street. You couldn't just do that. You can now, even though I don't know. I don't know. Do people even smoke weed in San Francisco anymore? Never mind. I smell it all the time when I'm there. But you can shoot up heroin right in front of the cops. You can deal drugs right in front of the cops. It's just the shift that has happened from when I was a kid. 20 years later, when I was a kid, you had to hide smoking a joint from the cops because you'd get arrested. Now you can shoot up fentanyl right in front of the cops, and they will give you the needles to do it. They will allow people that aren't supposed to be here in the first place because they came here illegally to deal drugs on the streets in front of cops. And then the people that they deal those drugs to get the paraphernalia needed to consume those drugs free from the city. It's just madness. It's absolute freaking madness. Well, Prop 36 got rid of a lot of that. So it's making it, and then there's the whole argument of jail shouldn't be used as a detox, this and that. Well, why not? Why not? I mean, at what point is jail better for someone than allowing them to just kill themselves slowly on the streets? You kind of gotta, it's time we had that talk. And a lot of people would argue, open up sanitariums again. I say it all the time too. You can have separate wings in the jail that are meant to help people detox, where it's not, and if they detox properly, having it expunged from the record so it doesn't affect any sort of their work, their employability moving forward. We have people that would be highly productive people in our society if we could just get them clean, and they couldn't get fentanyl needles easily, and they couldn't get the drugs easily on the streets anymore, and they had a place to go to detox. Instead of having a place to go for them to detox, they give them what's called safe injection sites, which are these horrific flop houses that are straight out of a horror movie. They give them the needles. They allow them to get the drugs on the streets. They give them money on a debit card monthly. If you can prove that you're homeless on the streets of San Francisco, they'll give you a freaking debit card, and you can pull cash out of the ATM, and you can go buy your drugs from the drug dealer, get your paraphernalia from the city, and then go to a safe injection site and consume those drugs and OD and die, all on the city's dime. It's madness. It's the exact opposite thing that you would want to do if you're trying to get people clean, if you're trying to get people off the streets. And Gavin, the homeless crisis and the drug addiction crisis go hand in hand, and the mental health crisis. It's all this big blob of bullshit wrapped up into one, perpetuated by Gavin Newsom and his cronies' policies. It's madness out here in California, and Gavin does everything he can to defend it and keeps throwing more and more money at the problem. Why? Because he's not actually throwing money at the problem. He's laundering money. Everything these corrupt politicians do is laundering money through these non-governmental organizations that hand out the fentanyl needles. They buy, the fentanyl needles, the crack pipes, the foil, the cookers, the rubber band things that they use to tie their arms off with. They hand all that stuff out. But then they pay the CEOs of these companies, the executives, the CEO, the CTO, the marketing people, all the marketing, right? All of the highest level executives or people at these companies makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, probably to keep their fucking mouths shut, because the state will pour tons of money into these NGOs. That money will get filtered through these NGOs and end up back in the campaigns of these politicians, and probably back in the pockets of a bunch of these politicians as well. How did they get so rich? How did Gavin just buy another house in Napa? Once you realize how corrupt they are, everybody knows that California politicians are corrupt, but they don't understand the extent of how corrupt these people are. These are mobsters. These are straight up gangsters running our government here in California. They are an organized crime syndicate. And people think that they're just corrupt politicians. No, these are straight up gangsters doing the highest level schemes to get your money. It's insane. It's freaking insane, these people. So Californians waking up. There's a cultural shift. A cultural shift is occurring, and people are rejecting Gavin Newsom's bullshit, Rob Bonta's bullshit, Nancy Pelosi's bullshit, Scott Wiener's bullshit, Nancy Skinner's bullshit. All these corrupt politicians' bullshit. They are rejecting it, and it's good to see, because people are starting to look around, like ordinary people that don't want to pay attention to politics, like I talk about all the time. They're like looking around. They're like, wait a minute. Yeah, this is kind of fucked up. Like, wait a minute. I can't blame Trump. I can't blame Trump for this. I can't blame Republicans for this. Wait a minute. Am I the baddie? Am I voting for the baddies? Huh. Like, why is everything so fucked? Because it's a Democrat supermajority in the state assembly. Most people don't know how California government even works, but it's a Democrat supermajority in the state assembly. It's a Democrat supermajority in the state Senate. Obviously, Gavin Newsom, a Democrat. The California Attorney General, Rob Bonta, the most crooked freaking guy in California, if you ask me. They're all Democrats. They're all in the Democrat gang, not the Democrat Party either. It's annoying. It's frustrating. But again, cultural shift is occurring. So this is from the Tesla owners of Silicon Valley. Trump gains ground in Silicon Valley. So this is looking at the last 3 elections here. So let's look at San Francisco. So, and you know, it's not a lot, but you look at the graph, and I mean, it's definitely going up. You know, so 2016. Man, geez, still though, this is not. San Francisco's, you know, the wokest of the woke places on earth, probably even more than New York, I would imagine. San Francisco is, it's impossible talking with people in San Francisco. It's just it is, talk about a bubble. It's a liberal freaking bubble, and it's so insane. It's a mass psychosis thing that goes on in San Francisco. It's a mass formation psychosis thing that goes on in San Francisco, how they have somehow normalized, like, all the worst things you see going on in this country go on in San Francisco. And if you go to San Francisco, it's still beautiful. There's still great places to go in San Francisco. There's still great food. In fact, it kind of seems like the economy is coming back in San Francisco, restaurants and things like that. But the Tenderloin is horrible, is awful. You still get these rolling gangs of, you know, people on quads and ATVs and different types of motorcycles running through the streets. You've, again, open air drug dealing, open air drug use. You've got small businesses that get broken into and robbed all the time. You've got the cars where you can't leave anything in your car because they'll break your window and take your shit. You know, it is horrible. And then at the same time, parking. They'll tow your car if you park in the wrong spot for 10 minutes too long. It's like, it's the whole anarcho-tyranny thing too, because they allow crime at an insane degree in San Francisco. But then if you park in the wrong spot, they will literally tow your car and it'll cost you $1,000 to get it out of impound. It's insane. It's freaking madness. And the tickets too. In Pacific Heights, if you're trying to just work in Pacific Heights, you got to move your vehicle every 2 hours. I talk about this shit all the time. It drives me insane. Everything's backwards in San Francisco. But I mean, even San Francisco, it's under 25%. I mean, it's like 16% of people voted for Trump in San Francisco, but it was like 13% in 2020, and it was like 10% in 2016. So last 4 elections, it's gone up, which is encouraging, but I mean, it's still under 25%. San Mateo County, very similar, which is the county just south of San Francisco. And then Santa Clara County, which is Silicon Valley, is, you know, the county to the south of San Mateo County. And I'm curious to see what Alameda County looks like. But in 2024, I mean, Santa Clara County got all the way up to like 27% of people that voted for Trump. So breaking that 25% mark there. But, you know, it's not anything to write home about, but I'm curious. Yeah, it doesn't show Alameda County here, but that's from Business Insider. So there is a shift occurring. Is it happening fast enough? I don't know, because I mean, I think those are like legit votes. These counties that are super hardcore far left counties, They don't need to do any voter fraud in those counties. They know they got all the crazies there. They're going to just vote blue no matter who. It's the counties like Orange County where, if they could cheat by 10%, then they can flip that congressional seat, all that kind of stuff. So that's where the fraud's going to occur. You're not going to see it occur in, super deep blue counties. Anywho, let's keep going here. So what are Californians rejecting? They're rejecting this. It's, again, the homeless problem, the drug crisis, the mental health crisis in San Francisco has been going on for decades now, and it's only gotten worse. And Gavin Newsom was the mayor of San Francisco, infamously talking about his 10-year plan to end homelessness. Now he's the governor of California, and everything's 100 times worse. So what's his solution? It's the literal definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing over and over and over, because it's not a solution. He knows it's not going to fix anything. Throw more money at the problem. That's what they just keep doing. They throw billions of dollars at the problem, but they're not actually throwing it at the problem. They're laundering money, and it ends back up in their coffers. $24 billion they can't find. Let's share this. Hopefully you guys got audio.
It's such a big issue that, according to the Legislative Analyst's Office, the state invested $24 billion over the last 5 years to curb the problem. But this just released report from the California auditor found the state lacks the proper information to determine the ongoing costs and results of its homelessness programs, because the California Interagency Council, or ICH, in charge of overseeing the implementation of Housing First policies, has, quote, not consistently tracked and evaluated the state's efforts to prevent and end homelessness.
And that's disappointing.
I would say it was very troubling.
That was the reaction from Republican Assemblymember Josh Hoover and Democratic Senator Dave Cortese. They were the bipartisan lawmakers who originally requested the audit to take place. The audit found the ICH Council did track homelessness spending between 2018 and 2021, but not since then. Above that, it showed despite the billions of dollars spent to combat the issue, the number of people experiencing homelessness increased by more than 50% between 2013 and 2023.
50%. It increased. No matter how many billions of dollars they throw at the problem, it just keeps getting worse. And they can't track the money. It's almost like the money's not actually the problem. It's almost like more funding isn't actually the problem. Super weird. It's almost like not perpetuating it with giving them a place to shoot up, giving them the paraphernalia needed to shoot up, and then allowing people to deal drugs on the streets and consume drugs on the streets. It's almost like that's not the solution. It's almost like everything we're doing is the exact opposite thing you would do if you wanted to actually solve the problem. It's weird. It's almost like they want the problem to exist. So bizarre. I wonder why. It's just, I'm just befuddled. I can't figure it out. It's almost like this is one giant scheme and they need the problem to exist so they can keep laundering money. It's super frustrating. Let's go over to Kevin Dalton here. He says, Gavin Newsom in 2023, here's my new $15 billion plan to solve homelessness with accountability at the core. Audit. Hey, there's actually 24 billion missing from your homeless plan, Gavin Newsom in 2024. I'm vetoing this bill that audits my spending on homelessness. Okay, so let's watch this video. He's such a criminal. This could be your future president, you guys. If we don't fix this could be your future president right here.
$500 million, no vision, no plan, no accountability. Fast forward, I know it's not fast enough, but fast forward, $15.3 billion, accountability at the core, and strategies for collaboration and cooperation across a spectrum of supports, the likes of which we have not seen in California's history. I get it. You want to see progress and you want to see it now. You want to see progress in terms of encampments. You want to see progress in terms of people off the streets. And as the mayor said, you want to see our values represented in that progress. No one's naive. It's not just about sweeping things under the rug or kicking people off the streets and sidewalks and claiming a job well done. That doesn't do justice. to the injustice that is perpetuated because our inability to reconcile the larger issues of wealth and income inequality. And
See what he blames? Doesn't blame any of the policies that are in place.
all its forms and manifestations, the most acute, of course, the issue of homelessness.
He leaves me speechless because he's such a slime ball. Again, he doesn't address any of the underlying issues. He says that it's wealth inequality and the problem is homelessness. Like, none of the things I just mentioned, none of the city handing out fentanyl needles, open air drug use, open air drug dealing, and safe injection sites. None of that's the problem. It's we need to throw more money at it. We need to build housing, government funded housing. That's what we need to do at tens of millions of dollars. And then just build these brand new apartments and put drug addicted people into the apartments for free. That's what we need to do. Don't need to change any of our policies or anything like that. It's infuriating. So this is from the Office of the Governor. This is from September 25th, 2024. To the members of the California State Assembly, I am returning Assembly Bill 2903 without my signature. This bill would require state agencies and departments administering homeless programs to report cost and outcome data annually to the California Interagency Council on Homelessness, using standardized procedures beginning September 1st, 2025. It would also require CalICH to compile and publicly release the data each year starting April 1st, 2026. While I fully support efforts to increase accountability and the effectiveness of our state homelessness programs, similar measures are already in place. Oh, so we don't need this new thing. Legislation enacted as part of the 2024 Budget Act Assembly Bill 166, Chapter 48, includes enhanced reporting requirements for two of the state's largest homelessness programs. Specifically, so not all of them, just two of the largest. Specifically, Assembly Bill 166 mandates monthly reporting of outcomes for all rounds of the homelessness housing, assistance, and prevention programs, and annual outcome reporting for the Encampment Resolution Grants Program. These reports will be made publicly available by CalICH. Additionally, I recently signed Assembly Bill 799, which addresses the same objectives as this bill in a more targeted and cost-effective manner. For these reasons, I cannot sign this bill. Sincerely, Gavin Newsom. But he can't find $24 billion with a B. Weird. It's almost like he's lying. It's infuriating. Bob Tiergarten, nice to see you. Those people aren't really homeless. They are. What the hell? Why can't I can't read the bottom of your quote. Yeah. What's going on here? That's weird. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, keep going here. Yeah, more frustrating Gavin stuff. So this is from Mike Netter. Governor Gavin Newsom just snapped up a Newberry home, a hidden mansion in the Marin County town of Kentfield, fitted with outdoor sculptures, a guest house, a handful of walk-in closets, and a swimming pool and spa. The governor paid around $9 million, 7% more than the asking price for the house on less than an acre in a deal that closed Thursday. The house has 6 bedrooms and 5.5 bathrooms across 5,600 square feet. A prime example of California modernism. It has numerous floor-to-ceiling windows with views of Mount Tam. Sources confirmed that Newsom bought the new home through a blind trust. Summary: Gavin Newsom just paid 7% above list on a $9 million home when your gas is going up and he's trying to force you out of your car and and tax you out of your home. It's oh man, he leaves me speechless. Okay, now I can see her. Now I can see it, Bob Treegarden. Those people aren't really homeless. They all have some place to go. They just aren't permitted there because they are junkies. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's exactly. So okay. But California politicians, believe it or not, some Republicans are trying to fight back against this shit. So this is from California Assembly Minority Leader James Gallagher, and he writes he's writing a letter to President-elect Trump, I should say. So again, this is from James Gallagher, Assembly member, 3rd District, and Republican leader. Dear President-elect Trump, as Republican leader in the California State Assembly, I am reaching out to extend my congratulations on your recent victory and to ask your partnership in addressing the significant challenges facing California. Many Californians believe your leadership can help us tackle issues that have plagued California for too long. California is grappling with a variety of problems, including devastating wildfires, an escalating housing crisis, rising crime, and unaffordable energy and gas prices. Additionally, there is a critical need to ensure swift accountability for criminals throughout the state, mainly in our government. I added that part. These issues require federal support, and I firmly believe that working together is the best way to deliver meaningful solutions for Californians. While Governor Gavin Newsom wants to Trump-proof California, legislative Republicans want to partner with you to pursue real solutions. We have been fighting tirelessly to fix California, but we need your support. Californians deserve real progress, not political showdowns that ultimately cost taxpayers and distract from the urgent needs of our state of the nation. I hope he gets to voting. The problems with voting. I respectfully ask for your assistance in addressing these problems and supporting Californians who are looking for common sense solutions. Your partnership in these efforts will make a real difference to families, communities, and businesses across California that have been struggling under the weight of these challenges. Thank you for your consideration, and I look forward to seeing how we can work together to bring positive changes to Californians in this nation. It would have been nice if we put some details in there, like, hey, we need you to get a federal voter ID law passed. Like that's step one. We also need you to go after sanctuary state policies from a federal law enforcement perspective. Like what California is doing is illegal on a federal level. So we need to crack down on those two things. You need to crack down on the welfare social safety net they've created for illegal immigrants that incentivize people to come here and stay here illegally. We also need to have some sort of federal election laws, federal ID requirements for federal elections. Those are like the first two things. I wish you would have put that in there, but it's all right. At least he's reaching out. At least he's reaching out to Trump because we are going to need his help here in California. And, and a lot of people will be like, oh, you want Big Daddy government to come and bail you out? No. I want Big Daddy government to fight Big Daddy government. That's what I want. If we're going to have a government, like from a libertarian perspective here, California government is a totalitarian state. If Trump is coming in the head of the federal government and the federal government can go to war with the California government, I'm from a let the retards fight perspective. Like, yeah, have at it. Here's the problems. If you guys can that's my perspective. That's like my libertarian approach to this. So, all right, let's continue. Some of the California shenanigans. I'm making okay time, I guess. So this is from Kevin Dalton. Let's see. If you're arrested and confessed to posing as an Uber driver and sexually assaulting a 15-year-old girl on her way to school, you should be locked up in jail for a very long time. Yes, I agree. Naturally, since this is Gavin Newsom's lawless California, the rapist was released on bail the following day. Okay, this is from KTLA. Let's watch this quick video.
Well, we can tell you that tonight that suspect has been arrested, but before he was taken into custody and after this sexual assault, police say he continued to drive the streets of LA and pick up other passengers. It went on for several agonizing minutes. A man who claimed to be an Uber driver overpowering and sexually assaulting a 15-year-old girl in the backseat of his car.
He grabbed her like from the neck, pinned her down towards the seat, pulled down her pants.
The victim reported the rape happened on the morning of October 23rd, just outside her high school. The child's mother had ordered an Uber to take her daughter to Southgate High.
On her way to school, I saw that it was taking more than usual. So I was calling her and she wouldn't pick up.
After the assault, the 10th grader called her sister.
She's like, something really bad happened to me in the Uber car. And she asked her, well, what happened? She couldn't open the door. He was too heavy, like for her to push him away.
The victim's mother tells KTLA the driver was not the registered Uber driver. He was pretending to be someone else.
I had the license plates of the car. I had the color of the car. I had a picture of the individual. And when I asked my daughter, is this the person? My daughter said, no, Mom, that's not the person. He stated that he was using his brother's account.
LAPD tracked down and arrested the suspect. Investigators say he confessed but claimed the sex was consensual. But because she's a minor, he could still face charges of statutory rape. We reached out to Uber and they responded. The driver's behavior is appalling and has no place on the Uber platform. We take reports of this nature very seriously, and we remove the driver's access to the platform as soon as we were made aware. We have a dedicated team that has been assisting law enforcement with their investigation. The victim's mother says she feels tremendous guilt for trusting Uber with her teenage daughter, and she wants them to add safeguards for other riders.
Then they should be like a system of fingerprint or something, face recognition. Like they should have a system in place that the person that gets inside that vehicle knows that they're going to be safe.
I wonder what are the different requirements for taxi drivers versus Uber drivers? I know that's one of the reasons how Uber makes this whole thing work, is they don't have the same requirements that taxi drivers have. I wonder if they have to go through like more background checks. I mean, unless they own the company, they're not taking the vehicle home. They got to go to like a yard and pick up the taxi. So I don't know. Would a taxi driver be less, would he have less capability of getting away with this kind of shit? But again, the story isn't the fact that it happened. It's the fact that this guy was released on bail, apparently. So.
Well, we can tell you that tonight that suspect has been arrested, but before he was taken into.
Sorry. No, Kevin's got a show. I didn't even know Kevin had a show. So all new Josh and Kevin show live now. That's from the 15th though. Huh. Josh and Kevin show. If you guys don't follow Kevin Dalton, you should. He talks a lot of California stuff too. So he's another guy. He actually left California, I believe, but he's still battling the madness from another state because, you know, even people that left California, Californians love California, and I love California. And then it feels like I'm being forced out of my state. I don't want to leave, but at some point, you know, if I don't make this work, my company that I'm trying to start, if I don't make that work, I don't know how I can continue staying here. My rent's going up by $500 a month starting in December, you know? So it's just gas, groceries, just every single thing here is insanely expensive, and it sucks. It is very hard to make it here. And yes, I probably could live a more comfortable lifestyle somewhere else, and I wouldn't have to worry about my political views or my online profile if I moved to like a red state. People wouldn't not hire me because I talk shit about California politicians on the internet. That isn't the case here. So thing is, I have a couple of like life philosophies. Mine, never run from a fight. I mean, that's not true. If somebody's got a knife, always run. I'm a runner too. So the best martial art you can have is run, but never back down to like authoritarianism type thing. Always stick up for others, that kind of shit. But also, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So the harder the state pushes, the harder I'm going to try to push back. And if I had kids and a wife and stuff, I might be looking at these things differently, but I don't. And I'm in a position to fight. So that's what I'm here doing. So I don't even know why I'm talking all this shit. You guys don't care about that anyway. We'll keep going here. So Gavin Newsom, I talked about it earlier. He's talking about how he wants to Trump-proof California. That legislator brought it up. And like, what does that mean? Trump-proof California. Like, what can Trump really do? Oh, you mean you want to what? Protect? Oh, I get it. One of your money laundering operations, your green energy money laundering operations. And I talk a lot about the offshore wind project, the solar stuff, and people might get the wrong idea and think that I'm against wind power and that I'm against solar and batteries and all that. And I'm not at all. I'm against it being jammed down to everybody's throat from the top down. I want the market to dictate how many windmills are built and how much power they can generate. Is it enough to, I want this to be a consumer-based thing, bottom up, where, oh, we're building these windmills because it's cheaper and more efficient. That's the reason that you should be building these windmills, not because, oh, we're trying to solve global climate change. And it's not like we're reducing our energy requirements at all. And we're not replacing nuclear plants, hydrothermal plants, and coal burning plants. It's not like we're replacing those with enough windmills and photovoltaic panels that will make up for the power loss that we have. We don't have the power requirements that we had before we shut down the coal plants, shut down the nuclear plants. So what do we have to do now? We have to import our energy. We have to import electricity. And all we're doing is sending the waste somewhere else. It's still electricity created by coal. It's still electricity created by hydrothermal, nuclear. It's just getting it from somewhere else. It's not solving any problem whatsoever. So what's the real thing behind it? Oh, it's just like the funding the NGOs that hand out fentanyl needles, but on a much higher scale. It's, let's build all these windmills. Let's give people no bid contracts, or let's have like a fake, bidding war where Gavin talks about how he's always going to war with big oil, right? Well, who do you think's bidding on the offshore wind project that they have planned out in San Luis Obispo? The biggest bidders are BP and Shell. It's big oil. It's the same freaking players. And it's all a scam. So this is the Trump proofing that he wants. Oh, and the best part about all of this is the rest of the country is paying for this shit. It's not just California. We need, just like for the high-speed rail, another giant money laundering project. Just like that, it's requiring federal subsidies for this, for the green agenda, the 2030, Agenda 2030 crap, the UN 17 Sustainable Development Goals bullshit. It's all a scam. All of it. They're not trying to solve climate change. All of this shit is a scam. Let's hear what Gavin Newsom has to say, because he went and met with Biden. So let's see what he has to say here. You guys got audio over on Rumble? I haven't had that thing pop up and tell me that I lost audio. So hopefully you guys can hear the videos I'm playing.
We're gonna have to get going.
That will be determined. But one thing we did accomplish is get everybody on the same page. Our two senators.
You know what I hate the most about him? He is a handsome son of a bitch. I mean, I admit it. He even grays gracefully. He's got wonderful hair. His voice is like the perfect combination of raspy and deep. I'm not gay for Gavin. I'm not at all. I'm just saying he's a handsome son of a bitch, and I can see why women just like fall all over themselves. Well, I'll vote for whatever you tell me to vote for, Gavin. You're so dreamy. he becomes like more handsome with age too. It's awful. I hate it.
Met with the senator-elect earlier and congressional representatives that are current and some future representatives, and just getting everybody on the same page.
Can you get specific about something you came here
We
wanting?
talked about the 122 lawsuits we were involved in the Trump administration. We talked about the special session and how we're going to move aggressively to be proactive and not reactive to the incoming Trump administration. We talked about the playbook that's very familiar, that goes back even before Donald Trump to the George W. Bush administration as it relates to particularly issues relating to the environment, clean air, that go back to Ronald Reagan, 1966.
There it is. Issues facing the environment and clean air. He wants to make sure that money isn't going to dry up. He's going to extract as much money as he can out of the Biden administration, using it. And the excuse behind it is going to be, we need more money for this, for the wind projects and the solar projects. That's all this is. Trump proofing means extracting money from the federal government. That's all this means.
And we talked about issues around immigration and deportation, and we also talked about the immediate, to your question, and this is
we talked about issues around immigration, illegal immigration, and deportation. So I don't know what the Biden administration can do in regards to saving Gavin's ass from that, because Trump's going to come. I really hope Trump goes after California government for the illegal stuff that they're doing. If there's any way that I can help Donald Trump Jr., any of you guys, I mean, I don't know how I could possibly help, but I mean, I can't help. I'm just some schlub, but there's plenty of Californians that are much smarter than me, have much more knowledge of the inside baseball, if you will, regarding all these shenanigans that they're pulling, that could meet with the Trump administration. Guys like, actually, somebody that I'm going to have on here is Michael Hogan. You know, that's who needs to meet with the Trump administration. I'll have him on here soon. We're going to talk about all this energy stuff.
important. Specific waivers that are pending on the president's desk or agency
Such
desks
as?
and across the spectrum.
What waivers?
Well, there's, I'll just leave it at high level.
Waivers.
3 categories in healthcare, in the environment, and in notably hybrid on behavioral.
Okay.
The waivers, guaranteed, the waivers that he's talking about is the EPA waivers that allow California to force oil refineries to have their own special California blends and not have to abide by EPA mandates that state that you can't just unilaterally create own blends. Like they have to be universal, nationally universal, if you will. That the California can't have separate refinery requirements than Nevada or Arizona or whatever. It's they can't do that, but they have waivers that the EPA just says, okay, California, you can do whatever you want. I guarantee you that's what he's talking about there.
Did you meet with any Republicans while you were here?
Not today, though I was with one Republican at a signing of an agreement with Reclamation on San Luis Dam.
Why not meet with Republicans?
San Luis Dam.
Well, I think the most important thing I can do right now is to
That's the thing too. He's destroying dams. He's blowing up dams. I'll have to get a little tinfoily here, but it seems that the California government is getting rid of like hydrothermal and nuclear, and they're trying to make us all completely reliant on wind power and solar power. And what that's going to do is just jack up the price to an insane level to where we can't afford it. And we are going to have to be dependent on the government for handouts. They're trying to restrict our movement as well, making gas so expensive that we can't drive very far. 17 sustainable development goals. This is an attack on liberty. I'm not explaining this well enough, but some of you guys out there that are smarter than me can probably get what I'm saying. It's not about helping the environment. It's about control. It's about control of the citizens. This man is a totalitarian.
make sure that our coalition and our caucus is all on the same page as we prepare for the incoming.
Can you talk about your concerns about the incoming president's threats already made that he could withhold federal disaster
Well, it's
aid?
pretty childish. I was with
Shut
an
up.
American president yesterday at the Oval Office, and I was with an American president last week when I got a phone call from him saying he wanted to support our efforts on disaster recovery in Ventura, California, that was suffering from a major wildfire. And there was no conditions. He didn't ask me to change policy on water in order to support the American people in my home state. That's not the state of mind of Donald Trump. And that's not just rhetoric. It's not just threats. Those are actions by Donald Trump in the past.
Okay. The FEMA stuff that recently happened with Hurricane Helene, how they skipped over. You guys heard about how the Daily Wire broke this news. FEMA gave instructions for people to skip over Trump supporters' homes for support. The disaster relief out there was virtually non-existent. Is Gavin Newsom trying to claim that since Trump threatened to withhold funding for fire relief, that somehow the Biden administration is going to support California if we had some sort of natural disaster here? The Biden administration will support Gavin Newsom more than Trump would. I guarantee you that if there was crazy fires or an earthquake or some sort of crazy national disaster, Trump isn't petty enough to be like, you're on your own. I will even go so far as to say that I no longer think that Trump is a narcissist. And I'll tell you why. I've seen enough from Trump now. I used to think for sure he's a narcissist. I was certain of it. And just after hearing him speak so many times and listening to people that are like cooks and stuff in his restaurants talking about how he'd walk around and just put money in people's pockets and how he wants people to like him. Trump doesn't strike me as a person that has a lack of empathy. Gavin Newsom does. Any of you guys that have gone down like the cluster B, psychological cluster B disorders rabbit hole, know that in order to be a narcissist, like a narcissistic personality disorder person, you can't have empathy. It's like they are devoid of empathy. There is no empathy. Trump, I don't think that's the case with him. I do think Trump has empathy, and he's not going to let Californians just be on our own. He is going to scramble relief here if we have some sort of crazy disaster. And that's what Gavin's trying to say. Again, this isn't about saving Californians from some sort of natural disaster with the support of the federal government. It's about control. It's about money. I believe that if there's some sort of natural disaster, we would have better federal support with Trump in office than we would with Biden in office, purely based on what we've seen from FEMA regarding the Hurricane Helene support. Those people were just on their own. I don't think Trump would allow that to happen. I don't know. We'll see. And Trump's not a typical Republican like Bush when, the response to Katrina and how horrible that was, because, Bush, a Republican, like that was a horrible response effort as well. Trump hasn't really been tested in that way. Back in 2020, we had the worst fires that we've had in a very long time out here in Northern California. Specifically, we had this giant dry lightning storm, and I was part of this. I was evacuated for 5 weeks, and the fire line it got a quarter mile to my house. I thought the house, I don't know, and I'm renting, I thought it was going to burn down. And it was very tough, but we had firefighters coming from all over the place. We had firefighters coming in from Australia. These fires were insane. And you Californians, you remember the orange glow in the sky. This is months worth of fires. They started in August and they didn't really get put out. The fire up here in Big Basin, that thing burned for over a year. Big Basin was devastated. It's still, certain parts of Big Basin are still like just starting to come back. You're just starting to see green again. And Trump was president when that happened. It was right smack dab in the middle of COVID. Trump came here. Trump visited Big Basin. Anyway, I'm just blabbering. I don't think we would have better support from the Biden regime than we would from the Trump administration if there was some sort of natural disaster here.
And I guess that's what people voted for. But I got to tell you, a lot of folks will be hurt if we don't push back. And so we're going to be firm.
Why not meet with
doing?
Republicans about this? They control the money.
I'm doing everything I can to do what I can in a very short period of time. I meet with Republicans every day because I'm married. I got a large Republican family, so we'll have plenty of time.
Thanks, guys. They winning in California when you lost elsewhere.
Well, you got the superstar in there, Nancy Pelosi, and when you have Nancy Pelosi, that changes the rules of the game a little bit in terms of what's possible. And so
Yeah, because she's the head of your organized crime syndicate. These people are freaking gangsters.
she did a magnificent job, and we've got a few close races and folks in there that are right on the edge, but we're starting to feel some confidence. Is it enough to get us to the magic number? That's to be.
But people
Thanks,
would note
everyone.
that Pelosi is not the speaker anymore. Should
I can't stand him. Cannot stand him, folks. Hopefully you guys had audio on that. I know it's kind of low. I apologize. And Gavin decided to take a stroll through Skid Row in downtown LA. Who is I don't know who's advising Gavin in terms of optics. Like if you're gonna take a stroll through Skid Row and you know there's gonna be cameras on you and everything, and you want okay, I lost the audio again. Let me stop sharing and go back to this. Hopefully you had audio on that over there on Rumble. Oh, okay, cool. Bob, thank you. Let's see. All right. This is Jenny, girl from 4th Street. All right. So again, Gavin took a stroll through Skid Row, and I don't know who's advising him, but if I were advising him, I'd be like, yeah, Gavin, if you don't want to look like a complete slime ball like you are, maybe don't carry a cup of coffee and maybe dress down a little bit. Don't wear a suit, just sort of try to be a normal human being when you're walking through Skid Row. I don't know what this photo op was all about, but here it is.
Skid Row. But now you need to see afterwards. You see how dirty these streets is? The streets ain't being clean. There ain't no trash can. See the red trash can? The red trash cans belong to the business people. They don't belong to the city.
He's saying there's no trash cans. The streets are dirty.
Governor, do you speak Spanish well? I think you do, right? No? There's a woman back there that was talking about her kids getting taken while she's living in a tent. It's happening every day.
We've always been a housing first framework.
Yeah, but what counts as housing?
Focus away from interim. We have a higher level of interim housing that was reinforced.
He's just walking down the street in his fancy suit, holding a coffee, just spewing his word salad, his same talking points.
Not safe is not working.
So interim housing isn't being prioritized with the new HAP funding?
The HAP money, the prioritization continues to be a framework about housing. Services, shelter, solves sleep, housing, and supportive services.
I know, but
homelessness.
Yeah.
Interim housing has a role. Rapid rehousing is important. I'm not opposed to shelters, but those are decisions for your local government.
This picture right here. This picture went viral. This guy sitting there, looks like he's eating a bowl of cereal, and he's like pointing up, "Oh, hey, governor, look at me." Like this is all, he represents all Californians right here. Sir, don't turn your back on us.
Do you have a site or social, or are you doing this for yourself?
We're from Los Angeles Community Action Network.
Okay.
Just always wary when more money is coming for homelessness and housing and not being able to concretely define what housing is, because we see, Mayor Bass's so-called success on Inside Safe, where 1/3 of the people that have gone into these hotels have already been either exited or dead.
No, I get it.
And they're not going to permanent
this
housing.
New round has a whole bunch of accountability and transparency.
All right, you guys get the point. Him just photo op walking through Skid Row, whatever he was trying to accomplish there. Let's what's this? Is this a community note on this? So this is from This is from his California governor account. Let's listen to him gaslight us a little more. This is just a quick video. Hopefully you guys don't lose audio on this. It's always just, I didn't even play that for you guys. My bad. I'll play this again.
This is a crisis, and it requires a crisis mindset. We can't conduct business as usual. People are dying on our watch. These kids are struggling and suffering. How many more seniors we're seeing out on the street? That's not who we are, and it's not what we should be. And we are committed to doing more and doing better.
And he's always got his sycophants standing behind him, just nodding their heads when he's just spewing the same garbage that he's been spewing for 20 freaking years. It's frustrating. It's so frustrating. It's always the same nonsense, the same gaslighting coming out of his mouth. So here's take a quick trip down memory lane, shall we? So this is the infamous video of him 16 years ago. Fuck, lost audio again. Stop sharing, go right back to this. Apologize, guys. But I want you to hear this. I'm sure you guys, most of you guys have probably heard this, but this is back when he was the mayor of San Francisco, and Gavin lays out his 10-year plan to end homelessness when he was mayor of San Francisco back in 2008. Think about how much worse it is now that he's the governor of California.
What we call a 10-year plan to end chronic homelessness in San Francisco.
How are you going to solve homelessness? What are you going to do as a new mayor? And I say, well, what are you going to do?
Focus on a housing first model, direct access to housing, shelter solve.
So that was 2012. He said, focus on our housing first model. You just saw a video of him walking through Skid Row, and he said the exact same thing, the housing first model. 12 years later, clearly it's not working, and you keep throwing good money after bad, and the problem keeps getting worse. Maybe you're the problem, Gavin.
Sleep, housing with wraparound and support services, solve homelessness. Homelessness absolutely can be solved.
Laid out a detailed homeless strategy. There's been no intentionality on homelessness in the state for decades. It's not been a focus. I don't think we can solve homelessness. I know we can solve homelessness. We will reduce street homelessness quickly and humanely through emergency action. The highest investment the state's ever made is $1 billion on homelessness. We are poised to pass a budget in the next few hours that will provide $12 billion of investment. I can literally quantify 58,000 people that we got off the streets last year. And none of you would believe it.
The state has not made progress in the last 2 decades.
If you get 58,000 people off the streets and 100,000 more people are on the streets, you don't get to say we removed 58,000 people from the streets. You have to say we've added 42,000 more people to our streets.
This relates to homelessness. Why?
We're not interested in funding failure. We're not interested in failing more efficiently when it comes to the issue of homelessness and the crisis on the street.
This man is sick. He's freaking sick. All right, we're almost through the California stuff, guys. But like, this is the stuff that Californians everybody's fed up. I guess it takes 16 years for people to not believe him anymore, but it's the same shit. Like, I don't understand how people in San Francisco and LA, where this stuff is the worst, just repeatedly keep voting for the same people. And I don't even think that's voter fraud crap. The voter fraud is taking place in counties that could be considered like swing counties or counties that have like a 5% margin. You know, it's Oakland, San Jose, Alameda County, Santa Clara County, San Mateo County, San Francisco County, Napa County, Los Angeles County, all the coastal counties, Monterey County, even though that tends to be a little more red. It's Humboldt County. All of these coastal counties I mean, is it because they're so detached? Like San Francisco County is not detached from this crap. How can people just keep voting for this same shit? I can't wrap my brain around it. So this is what people in San Francisco see on a daily basis here, and they just keep voting for the same stuff. This is just people ODing on the streets on a daily basis, and chances are the person that OD'd on the streets here got their needles and crack pipes or whatever free of charge from the city of San Francisco. Every day, bodies on the streets. Every day.
So JJ. Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Mr. Bill?
I know. I'm sorry for the trip.
You didn't make it, huh? You didn't make it.
They'll be able to identify him, so if he is a resident, they might get in contact with someone up there and let him know. No, because now we're just taking a picture of his body and says.
It's just sad. Every day, bodies stacking up on the streets of San Francisco, on the streets of LA. So what's here? This might be part of Gavin's housing first model. So this is from my mixtape. San Francisco has approved $700 a month sleeping pods to help people afford rent, as the average rent price is $4,000 for like a studio apartment in San Francisco. So this is their solution here. You guys see this? Sleeping pods. Literally eat the bugs, get in your pod. Pods. $700 a month. You guys that are watching in other states, wrap your brain around that. It's a bunk. It's made out of plywood. They're bunks with a mattress on the ground. There's not even a box spring. Like these things even have like a power outlet in them. Like it doesn't even have a door. It has a curtain. It's like $700 a month, you guys. How do we fix this? The only way I can think to fix this is talk about it on the internet and show you guys the stuff that I see. It's the only way I can think to fix it. So this is also from JJ Smith over here. This is he says I lost audio again, but that's okay. San Francisco, the public is not supposed to know about this location, but this is the SF AIDS Foundation harm reduction warehouse storing millions of dollars in drug paraphernalia supplies, aka suicide kits. Taxpayer money is funding all of this. Even the cost of the warehouse is in the heart of the Tenderloin. So you guys probably won't have audio on this, but that's okay. So this is a warehouse. All these tubs are full of like crack pipes and fentanyl needles, cookers, the things to tie your arms off with. This is where all the money goes. So that audit, that bill that would have audited where all this money's going, that Gavin Newsom said no, we already got things in place that are supposed to promote transparency with where all these tax dollars are going regarding homelessness and shit. They don't want to see how much money that they're handing to these NGOs like the San Francisco AIDS Foundation that swore up and down, we're not handing out fentanyl needles. They are. They go to the Tenderloin with vans. They bring out tables with tubs full of crack pipes, fentanyl needles, and all the other drug paraphernalia. And they just hand them out to people. And again, one of the things that triggers me every time is you see them put them in single-use plastic bags, the same plastic bags that Gavin Newsom has outlawed grocery stores from using. Everything is backwards. And there's millions of dollars that go to these non-governmental organizations that hand out these crack pipes and fentanyl needles. I talk about it every show. I know it gets tiring. So that's all the California stuff I got. That is all the California stuff I got for tonight. So we'll leave the California stuff there. You guys in the chat still there? You guys still awake? Am I boring you guys to death? I hope I'm not. Let's see. There's like the last block of stuff I got to talk about here. So let's go to some global news and some national stuff that we got. So this is from Mario Narfall here. So it looks like Joe Biden has greenlit the use of long-range missiles into Russia, Ukraine. They can use long-range missiles that we supplied them with. So this is from Mario Narfall. Breaking: Biden greenlights Ukraine's long-range missile strikes into Russia. Biden approved Ukraine's use of U.S.-supplied ATACMS missiles to target Russian and North Korean forces in Kursk, reversing a long-standing policy. This decision, spurred by Russia's deployment of 10,000 North Korean troops, aims to protect Ukraine from a major assault. Critics fear retaliation, with intelligence warning of potential Russian sabotage or attacks on the U.S. and European assets. Biden deemed the escalation risks outweigh the strategic gains as Trump signals plans to reduce U.S. aid to Ukraine. Okay, so they greenlit an escalation is what they did. So this is Vladimir Putin. This is from Colin Rugg here, and let's see, Reggie, nice to see you over on X. So it looks like I lost audio again. All right, I'll come back to this. So Putin basically says, "Don't do that, or we're at war." And I don't know why we would have any reason not to believe him, but looks like we did it anyway. Reggie, great way to control the masses is to keep the drugs and paraphernalia flowing. Yeah, 100%. That's what all this shit is about, control. So this is from Colin Rugg. Putin in September. If Ukraine uses U.S. long-range missiles to strike Russia, the United States is at war with Russia. Biden in November. Authorities Ukraine authorizes Ukraine to use U.S. long-range missiles to strike Russia. Biden has just 2 months left in office. This decision comes after the Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said last week that the U.S. will rush every dollar at its disposal to Ukraine while Biden is still in office. So let's see what Vladimir Putin has to say about this.
Происходит попытка подмены понятий.
There's an attempt. There's an attempt to. I'm sorry. There's an attempt to substitute concepts because we are not talking about authorizing or prohibiting the Kiev regime from striking territory. It already does so with the help of the drones and other means. But when we are talking about the use of Western-made long-range precision weapons, it is a completely different story. The fact is that I have already mentioned this, and any expert will confirm that both in our country and in the West, the Ukrainian army is not able to strike with modern long-range precision systems of Western manufacture. It cannot do this. This is possibly the only issue of intelligence from satellites, which Ukraine does not have. The data is only from the satellites of the European Union or the United States. In general, from NATO satellites is the first. The second, very important, maybe the key one, is that only NATO servicemen can make flight assessments to these missile systems. Ukrainian servicemen cannot do this. So this is not about whether or not to allow the Ukrainian regime to strike Russia with these weapons. It is a question of deciding whether or not NATO countries are directly involved in military conflicts. If this decision is made, it will mean nothing but direct participation of NATO countries and the United States. European countries in the war in Ukraine, this is our direct participation of this, and of course changes the very essence
меняет саму суть, саму
the very
природу
nature
конфликта.
of the conflict.
Это
It
будет
will mean that
означать,
NATO
что Штаты,
countries,
США, европейские
the United States and European countries are at war with Russia.
А если это так,
And if this is the case, then bearing in mind the change of very nature, bearing in mind the very nature of the conflict,
мы будем
we will
принимать
make
соответствующие
appropriate
решения,
decisions based on the
исходя из
threats
тех
that will
угроз,
be
которые
posed
нам
to
будут
us.
создаваться.
So he's saying, don't do it. Don't do it, or you're at war with us. Okay. So it looks like we're also lost audio again. I need to update the Brave browser. So this is from Mike Netter. I'm sorry, this is from Mike Benz. And he's saying that the Pentagon is basically like a black hole of money. And we can't figure out, there's like trillions of dollars that have gone missing. So the Pentagon's $35 trillion accounting black hole. Let's listen to Mike Benz talk about this.
The Pentagon is a $35 trillion accounting black hole. $35 trillion. Okay. The Pentagon has lost more money than the entire gross domestic product of the United States. One federal agency, the Pentagon, has lost more money than the entire country brings in. Process that. The Pentagon is a 30.
A little hard to wrap your brain around. He says, you want to know why they bought a shredder? And this is apparently the Pentagon, Department of Treasury, shred truck service. Current response date, December 16th, 2024. So they're bringing in a giant industrial shredder. The Pentagon is. Wonder why. That's freaking. It's almost funny how corrupt it is. See if I lose audio as soon as I share this tab. Probably. No? Still there? All right. Okay. Let's keep going. This is from Vivek Ramaswamy. Mario Narwhal says, Vivek, certain agencies will be deleted outright. We expect mass reductions in force in areas of the federal government that are bloated. We expect massive cuts among federal contractors and others who are overbilling the federal government. I think people would be surprised how quickly we're able to move some of those changes, given the legal backdrop. The Supreme Court has given us. Okay, let's listen to Vivek Ramaswamy, one of the people in charge of the new Department of Government Efficiency. Him and Elon Musk are going to be heading this up. Listen to Vivek Ramaswamy talk on Fox News with Maria Bartiromo, I think.
Are you expecting to close down entire agencies like President Trump has talked about the Department of Education, for example? Are you going to be closing down departments?
We expect mass reductions. We expect certain agencies to be deleted outright. We expect mass reductions in force in areas of the federal government that are bloated. We expect massive cuts among federal contractors and others who are overbilling the federal government. So yes, we expect all of the above. And I think people will be surprised by, I think, how quickly we're able to move with some of those changes, given the legal backdrop the Supreme Court has given us.
Are you expecting to close down?
Okay. I already read everything he just said. Wonderful. Actually, okay, we're good. See if I lose audio again. Okay, so I actually don't have audio on this. I don't need it. So Trump's named a bunch of people that he's bringing in. So share this. I don't need audio for this. Good thing, because I just lost it. So Pete Hegseth is going to be our Secretary of Defense. Governor Kristi Noem is DHS Secretary. Mike Huckabee is the, does that say Israel ambassador? Mike Huckabee? Is that what he says? Oh, geez. Okay. I'm not saying I like all of these picks, but we'll see here. William McGinley is White House counsel. John Ratcliffe, CIA director. Elon Musk, Department of Government Efficiency. Vivek Ramaswamy, Department of Government Efficiency. Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence. That is, so they're freaking out about Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, and Matt Gaetz. Susie Willis is his chief of staff. Mike Waltz is, sorry, this print is tiny. It's hard for me to see. National Security Advisor. Lee Zeldin, EPA Administrator. Oh, he's the guy. They're not too happy about him either. Stephen Miller, White House Deputy Chief of Staff on Foreign Policy. Tom Holman is our new border czar, and that dude does not play around. I can't read her name. It's too small. Elise something is our UN ambassador. Senator Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. I'm not sure how I don't like that one. Matt Gaetz for AG. They're saying there's no way he's going to get confirmed. RFK is going to be the HHS secretary. So that's, people are freaking out about that already. Doug Burgum, Department of Interior. I don't know anything about him. Doug Collins, Secretary of Veteran Affairs, and John Sauer, Solicitation General. I don't know what that is. I can't read it. So a lot of these picks people are not happy about, but so let's go over to Ian Miles Chong here. It looks like, okay, it looks like I lost audio again. So let me stop sharing and reshare, because Debbie Wasserman Schultz is calling Tulsi Gabbard a Russian agent again, and it's freaking hilarious. Northside Huckabee will pray the Palestinians away, coach. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm sure he will. Let's see. Okay, this is from Ian Miles Chong. And here's Debbie Wasserman Schultz. If you guys don't remember Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she was the head of the DNC back during the 2015 Democratic primary, where emails were leaked to WikiLeaks. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz and a bunch of other people were talking about, how can we make Bernie Sanders look like an anti-Semite? And she is, I don't understand how she still has a place in government and people still vote for this horrible, horrible woman. She is just a bold-faced liar all the time. And the only evidence that, not even evidence, the only claim that they have to say that Tulsi Gabbard is some sort of Russian agent is because Hillary Clinton mentioned it one time. And here's when Debbie Wasserman Schultz stepped down from the DNC after she was disgraced with her emails about trying to railroad Bernie Sanders. She immediately went and joined the Hillary Clinton campaign. She is a horrible, horrible woman. So here's her talking about Tulsi Gabbard on MSNBC, of all places.
Tulsi Gabbard is someone who has met with war criminals, violated the Department of State's guidance, and secretly, clandestinely went to Syria.
Someone who met with war criminals. Presidents and the president's staff are supposed to meet with heads of states of other countries. And that may include people like Kim Jong-un, which Trump actually met with. The first guy to cross the DMZ. They have to negotiate with killers. They have to negotiate with horrible people. So okay, so she went and like we meet with the Saudis all the time. Gavin Newsom just had President Xi from China in San Francisco, and he hosted him and he got all the homeless and all the crackheads out of San Francisco before President Xi visited. And I mean, you know, the whole Uyghur Muslims thing, concentration camps, that kind of thing. She doesn't have anything to say about that, but she claims because Tulsi like met with Assad trying to figure out peace solutions that she's some sort of foreign agent.
And met with Assad, who gassed and attacked his own people with chemical weapons.
That's already been disproven. He didn't gas his own people. Like, they always just come out and repeat the same freaking lies, shit that has been proven false, and they just lie straight to their teeth.
She's considered to be essentially by most assessments a Russian asset.
She's considered to be by most a Russian asset. You mean because Hillary Clinton said those words one time, she's considered to be a Russian asset? This woman is a horrible swamp creature.
And would be the most.
Is that how you
dangerous...
consider her? Is that what you consider
yes.
her?
Oh, yes.
There's no question. I can.
Freaking horrible. Joss the boss. Yes, Pepperidge Farm remembers. Yep. Maddie Bracco. Yeah, she's freaking horrible. Yeah, her and Donna Brazil. Yep. How is the DWS still allowed in Congress? Debbie Wasserman Schultz still allowed in Congress. I don't know. I don't know how this horrible swamp creature is still in government. This is from the account Tulsi for President, and I'll probably lose audio again. No, I didn't. Okay. So this account Tulsi for POTUS, which does not have any affiliation with Tulsi Gabbard, says some facts about Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who is a Pakistani asset. Debbie Wasserman Schultz hired a Pakistani agent who was operating for ISI and Hezbollah and put him in operating Congress's cybersecurity. Schultz knowingly protected this man until he was arrested for bank fraud. Then she escaped him with the help of her friend, Judge Tanya Chutkin, who committed lawfare against President Trump. Those who hate Tulsi Gabbard really hate America. So let's watch this quick video here. Hopefully I don't lose audio.
Equipment is members' equipment. It is not, under my understanding, the Capitol Police is not able to confiscate members' equipment when the member is not under investigation. It is their equipment and it's supposed to be returned.
Well, I think there's extenuating circumstances in this case.
I think you're violating the rules when you conduct your business that way, and should expect that there will be consequences.
There will be consequences, she said. Chief Washington correspondent Janice.
Oh, she's such a horrible swamp creature. All right. So Matt Gaetz is another one that they're not too happy about. They're saying there's no way he can get confirmed. And I lost audio again. So let's see. That's okay. I don't need audio on that one. Yeah, Matt Gaetz, they're going after him. They're saying that they're trying to say that he had some sort of relations with underage girls. They tried to get him with they tried to say that he did some sort of human trafficking because he brought a 17-year-old across state lines, which he says he had nothing to do with, that he didn't do that. And then the FBI investigated and they didn't go after him for it because they couldn't prove anything. I don't know. This seems like them just they're trying to smear Tulsi, they're trying to smear RFK, and they're trying to smear Matt Gaetz. They're gonna try and go after every single one of Trump appointments that they don't like. So here's them trying to go after Kennedy, RFK, with this fact check is amazing. This is from the New York Times. This is spectacular. I can't believe they wrote this and thought to themselves, like, yeah, that sounds good. Put it out. Like, it's so bad it's good. It's unbelievable. Mr. Kennedy has singled out Fruit Loops as an example of a product with too many artificial ingredients, questioning why the Canadian version has fewer than the US version. But he was wrong. The ingredient list is roughly the same, although Canada's has natural colorings made from blueberries and carrots, while the US product contains red dye 40, yellow 5, and blue 1, as well as butylated hydroxytoluene, or BHT, a lab-made chemical that is used for freshness, according to the ingredient label. That's them debunking that we put shit in our food that is quite clearly poison, and Canada doesn't because it's illegal there. That's them debunking it, saying that the natural colorings made from blueberries and carrots are basically the same as yellow 40, yellow 5, and blue 1. And we also add this butylated hydroxytoluene for freshness. It's fine, you guys. It's the same thing. Unbelievable. It's like they actually put that out as a debunk. These people are insufferable. These people are absolutely insufferable. Okay, let's keep going here. Let me stop sharing and reshare so I can play this video. Let's see. Joss the Boss, she is horrible. Yeah, go back to 2015. Yeah, I think you just joined. Yeah, the whole DNC leaked emails. How can we make Bernie look like an anti-Semite? She steps down and immediately goes and joins the Hillary Clinton campaign. Yep. That's actually when I like really started paying attention to politics. It was like back in 2013. I was kind of a Bernie bro. And I was hoping that at the DNC, Bernie's people were outside protesting because Hillary needed Bernie to endorse her. And everybody was hoping that Bernie was going to go up on stage and say, Hillary's a crook and all this stuff. Instead, he just bent the knee and endorsed her. And everybody is so disappointed, including myself. And that's when Bernie ended his presidential aspirations, if you ask me, because it became clear that he is just another. Notice how he stopped talking about the millionaires. He used to talk about the millionaires and the billionaires. Now he only talks about the billionaires because he is a millionaire, owns multiple properties. Yeah, Bernie's a swamp creature too, but at least he still kind of calls out bullshit sometimes. So they're still trying to pull some shenanigans over in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. So this is from Bucks County GOP. And they say Democrat commissioners violate the rule of law and ignore Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruling. Democrat commissioners Diane Marseglia and Bob Harvey voted today to count illegal ballots against PA Supreme Court ruling in an attempt to aid former Senator Bob Casey. Precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country, and people violate laws anytime they want. For me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to it. Unbelievable. That's from Diane Marseglia. Thank you to the Republican Commissioner Jean DiGirolamo for making a motion to uphold the law. Our attorneys are working with attorneys from Pennsylvania GOP and RNC to address this matter. So let's watch this quick video.
We reject all three categories of these ballots.
Your motion is to reject or dismiss the challenges in this category in front of you?
Correct, yep.
Not going to second that, mostly because I think we all know that precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country, and people violate laws anytime they want. So for me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to it.
We reject all.
I'm speechless. What? What did she just say? I can't. I freaking can't. Okay. Yeah, remember I brought up earlier FEMA out in North Carolina, how they are instructed to skip over Trump supporter homes. Well, it's real. Like, this is a real thing. And lost connection again. Stop sharing. Sorry, guys. This stream's been annoying in that way. I'll update my browser before the next show. But let me share my screen again. This is from Andy No. And here's this horrible woman trying to justify her decision to skip over Trump supporter homes. The fired FEMA supervisor who told subordinates to skip hurricane-ravaged homes with Trump signs did a sit-down interview on Fox News and said that the staff had the right to not go to homes with Trump signs if they were uncomfortable, similar to them avoiding homes with aggressive dogs on the property. So add that to the list. Deplorables, garbage, and now we are equivalent to aggressive dogs. Marnie, is that her name? Marnie Washington says this was FEMA's policy and it applied in other states beyond Florida affected by the hurricanes. She says she's been made the scapegoat because she wrote the directive, which was later leaked to the Daily Wire. So let's listen to this woman just say insane things, just like this last woman in Pennsylvania said. Like, it's mind-boggling to me.
And someone feels uncomfortable, we can't go to that home. If you have loose dogs and someone on the team is comfortable with dogs and another person is not, we can't go to that home because of safety precautions.
So you feared the Trump houses. The people on FEMA were fearing the Trump houses like they were fearing people with vicious dogs in their backyard.
Exactly. And that's based on the trends. You can ask FEMA and someone feels uncomfortable, we can't go.
So he even asks her. So let me get this straight. You're basically comparing Trump supporters to vicious dogs? Exactly, she says. This is how we need to clean house. They need to fire people from that's not just her. She probably was just made the scapegoat too because she wrote it. But that everyone around her was like, oh yeah, I totally agree. She's not the only person at FEMA that pulls this kind of shit. The FEMA needs to be completely gutted and brought down to like a handful of employees. It's insane. All right, this is the last clip I want to play for you guys tonight, but this is to show the idiocy of the people that are creating gun laws for us. And it's quite clear that the people creating gun control legislation have no freaking clue what they're talking about. And this is a perfect example of that because this woman has no freaking clue what she's talking about. And it's almost funny, but it's not, because she is actually trying to create policy around the lies that she tells, the misinformation that she spews right here, but then gets checked really quick. So listen to this lady talk about short-barreled rifles.
Why are pistols equipped with another device, which we haven't spoken much about, the stabilizing brace, particularly dangerous to the public?
So really quick, pistols with stabilizing braces, it's like a brace that you can wrap around your arm, but you can, if you want to, basically use them like a stock, put them up to your shoulder. And yeah, it is a loophole around not being able to have stocks on barrels rifles that have shorter than a 16-inch barrel. Listen to her explanation.
Stabilizing braces are not machine guns. I want to start off by being clear.
Oh, thanks for clarifying that stabilizing braces are not machine guns. Thank you, lady.
You're talking about stabilizing braces, we're talking about short-barreled rifles. And short-barreled rifles are more dangerous because they allow a pistol to be shot from the shoulder, which gives it more power and more velocity, and therefore
Shooting a pistol from the shoulder allows it to be more powerful and allows the bullet to have more velocity. These are the people making policy. No, it doesn't. It does. No, it does not do that. If anything, a longer barrel is going to give the bullet more velocity because it's going to have more pressure and the bullet's going to come out faster. It's unbelievable.
for more lethality, but still being concealable in the way that a pistol is because it's smaller. Stabilizing braces were initially designed to allow a shooter to stabilize a handgun on the wrist or forearm. But what started happening was that the gun industry saw a loophole where they began designing stabilizing braces that allowed a shooter to shoot from the shoulder, thereby converting that weapon into a short-barreled rifle, which is regulated under the National Firearms Act, subject to taxation and registration.
Mr. Kleckner, what do you think about that?
This is glorious.
I don't think pistol braces are a problem. I don't think they're being used in crimes. I don't think they're making crimes worse. I think she brings up a great point about the concealability. I think it makes it much harder to conceal a pistol when there's a pistol brace on. It makes it much larger. And if we're going to talk about increased lethality and velocity, a pistol brace does neither of those. In fact, a regular rifle has increased velocity and lethality, and that has a regular butt stuck on it, which is arguably worse than a pistol brace.
Just really quickly disproves everything she just said. Well, he didn't bring out like any sort of scientific test to disprove it. He's just saying the truth. Like, how could she get up there and say that stuff? She either has no clue what she's talking about, which is probably the case, and she's just repeating some nonsense that somebody told her, or she knows that she's just bold-faced lying through her teeth. It's these are the people making policy. So it is I really hope that Vivek and Elon just completely gut entire agencies, because the people making policy are maniacs. They're absolute maniacs. Buddy Weiser, Gates will be confirmed during the Senate recess for Christmas break. I guess that's the play. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to pull it off, but they must know something that we don't, because why would you resign so quickly? You know, he must know something that we don't. I'm not sure. It's going to be very interesting to see how that whole thing plays out. So yeah, that is we live in exciting times, my friends. We live in very exciting times, very interesting times, and I'm excited for the future, but this battle is far from over. Trump has not been confirmed yet. Seems like they're trying to start World War III. I don't know. I don't know what their plans are, but the deep state, the Democrats, the uniparty warmongers are not just going to sit back and take it. They are going to, they got tricks up their sleeve. We're going to see what kind of shady maneuvers they pull before Trump is confirmed and then before Inauguration Day. So we will see. We will see. I don't think we're going to see any sort of like January 6th type thing from the Democrats. They're going to try to do shit behind the scenes and under the table and backroom deals and that kind of crap. So it will be very interesting to see what happens. But that is all I got for tonight, folks. And I thank you very much for joining me. It's always fun chatting with you guys. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Buddy Weiser, Joss the Boss, Matty Bracco, Northside, Reggie, Bob Cheergarden. Let's see, T-Bone Tony, Vankman, Wally World, Old Doe. Hopefully I didn't miss any of you guys. Jose Garcia. Hopefully I read all your stuff. Oh, I think I missed some of your stuff, Jose. Yeah, I think I missed some of your chats. I apologize, Jose Garcia, if you're still watching this. All right, you guys. Pronoun refuse Nick. All you guys, thank you so much for hanging out in the chat. I will be back. I think I'm going to do a show on Tuesday. I will be back on Tuesday now that I have a little more time. So I will see you guys again on Tuesday. Thank you again so much for hanging out. Bob Tiergarten, delete previous comment. Why? You want me to? I don't know if I can. I don't know if I know how. Instead, I put it up on screen. I've never deleted a comment before. I don't know if I know how to delete a comment. Yeah. Why though? I'm curious. Why do you want to delete it? I think you might be right. Okay, I'll delete it after the stream ends if I can figure out how, because I'm a little bit of a boomer with this kind of stuff. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. But before we get out of here, you know how we do it. Got to tell a joke from the greatest book ever written, The Truth About Chuck Norris. Let's see what we have tonight. Let's see. All right, I'm not going to read the joke. I'm not going to pre-read the joke. I'm just going to pick one. I'm going to read it. Hopefully it's funny. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. So again, thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I will see you all on Tuesday. Chuck Norris joke of the evening. Chuck Norris once brought a man back to life twice and killed him 3 times because the man had the audacity to die before Chuck Norris was finished killing him. And on that note, stay CaliBased.